Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the fascinating tales of our collective past. Today, we embark on a journey to explore the tumultuous and captivating story of the 1969 Altamont Speedway Free Festival. This pivotal event, etched in the annals of music history, was a convergence of art, culture, and chaos, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of American counterculture. As we set the stage for our exploration, let us transport ourselves to the sun-kissed hills of California, where the spirit of rebellion and nonconformity was palpable in the air. It is here, amidst the rolling hills and verdant valleys, that we find the genesis of the 1969 Altamont Speedway Free Festival. The earliest whispers of this iconic event began to circulate in the summer of 1969, as the countercultural movement was reaching its zenith. The likes of Joan Baez, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and the Grateful Dead were already household names, their music serving as a soundtrack for the era's social upheaval. The summer of 1969 was a transformative time in American history, with the country still reeling from the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy. The countercultural movement, which had been gaining momentum since the early 1960s, was now in full swing, with young people across the nation embracing the ideals of peace, love, and social change. It was against this backdrop that the Altamont Speedway Free Festival began to take shape. The festival's organizers, including Jagger's friend and road manager, Sam Cutler, and the Grateful Dead's manager, Rock Scully, were determined to create an event that would rival the iconic Woodstock music and art fair, which had taken place just a few months earlier. They envisioned a gathering that would bring together some of the biggest names in music, along with tens of thousands of young people, all united by a shared sense of purpose and rebellion. As plans for the festival began to take shape, the organizers faced numerous challenges, including finding a suitable location and securing the necessary permits. Initially, they had hoped to hold the event at San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, but when that proved impossible, they turned their attention to the Altamont Speedway, a dusty, rural track located about 60 miles east of San Francisco. The involvement of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, who were hired as security for the event, added an air of unpredictability to the proceedings. The Hells Angels, with their reputation for toughness and lawlessness, seemed an unlikely choice for security, but they were seen as a necessary evil by the promoters, who were desperate to maintain order at the event. As the days leading up to the festival ticked by, the excitement and anticipation continued to build. The countercultural movement was at its peak, and the Altamont Speedway Free Festival seemed poised to be the culmination of all that the movement represented: peace, love, music, and rebellion. With a lineup featuring some of the most prominent acts of the era, including the Rolling Stones, Santana, and Jefferson Airplane, the stage was set for what promised to be a spectacular celebration of music and counterculture. And so, dear listeners, we find ourselves on the cusp of a pivotal moment in American cultural history. The Altamont Speedway Free Festival is about to become a reality, and the consequences of this event will be felt for years to come. Join me, dear listeners, as we venture deeper into the story of Altamont, a tale of creativity, chaos, and the unbridled energy of a generation. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we're exploring the captivating story of the 1969 Altamont Speedway Free Festival. On December 6, 1969, the Altamont Speedway Free Festival came to life, drawing in tens of thousands of young people from across the country. The air was electric with anticipation as the crowd gathered on the dusty rural track, eager to experience the music and the moment. The festival's lineup was a veritable who's who of 1960s rock royalty, featuring performances by Santana, Jefferson Airplane, the Flying Burrito Brothers, and Crosby, Stills and Nash, among others. As the day wore on, the atmosphere began to shift, with the crowd growing increasingly restless, and the Hells Angels, who were providing security, becoming more aggressive. Despite these ominous signs, the music continued, with each performance building on the last to create a sense of excitement and energy. The Grateful Dead, one of the most iconic bands of the era, was scheduled to perform, but they ultimately declined to take the stage due to the growing chaos. The Rolling Stones, who were slated to headline the festival, finally took the stage around 9 p.m., launching into their set with a rousing rendition of Jumpin' Jack Flash. However, the tension in the crowd had by then reached a boiling point, and the performance was soon marred by violence. As Mick Jagger sang, a young man named Meredith Hunter, who was allegedly armed and under the influence of drugs, attempted to climb onto the stage. The Hells Angels, who were providing security, responded with brutal force, beating Hunter to death in front of a horrified crowd. The tragedy that unfolded at Altamont marked a turning point in the countercultural movement, signaling the end of an era and the beginning of a new, more cynical age. The festival's dark and chaotic atmosphere was a far cry from the peaceful, idyllic vibe of Woodstock, which had taken place just a few months earlier. As the news of Meredith Hunter's death spread, the crowd began to disperse, leaving behind a scene of devastation and despair. The aftermath of Altamont was marked by widespread shock and outrage, with many in the countercultural movement struggling to come to terms with the violence and tragedy that had occurred. The Rolling Stones, who had been scheduled to perform at the festival, were particularly shaken, with Mick Jagger later describing the event as a terrible mistake. The Hells Angels, meanwhile, faced widespread criticism for their role in Hunter's death, with many questioning their involvement in the festival. As we look back on the Altamont Speedway Free Festival, it's clear that this pivotal event marked a watershed moment in American cultural history. The tragedy that unfolded at Altamont served as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked chaos and the importance of maintaining order and safety at large public gatherings. Despite the darkness of that day, however, the music and the spirit of the countercultural movement continued to endure, inspiring future generations of artists and activists. And so, dear listeners, we've reached the end of our exploration of the Altamont Speedway Free Festival, a tale of creativity, chaos, and the unbridled energy of a generation. Join me, dear listeners, as we venture deeper into the story of Altamont, a story that continues to resonate with us today. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we're exploring the captivating story of the 1969 Altamont Speedway Free Festival. As we delve into the aftermath and lasting impact of this pivotal event, it's clear that the tragedy that unfolded on December 6, 1969, marked a turning point in American cultural history. In the years following Altamont, the countercultural movement underwent a significant shift, as the ideals of peace, love, and harmony that had defined the 1960s gave way to a more cynical and disillusioned era. The festival's dark and chaotic atmosphere served as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked chaos and the importance of maintaining order and safety at large public gatherings. The Rolling Stones, who had been scheduled to headline the festival, were particularly shaken by the events that transpired. Mick Jagger later described Altamont as a terrible mistake, and the band's experience at the festival would go on to influence their music and worldview in profound ways. The song Gimme Shelter, which was released just a few months after Altamont, features lyrics that seem to reference the tragedy, with Jagger singing about a stormy weather and a fire sweeping the land. The Hells Angels, meanwhile, faced widespread criticism for their role in Meredith Hunter's death, with many questioning their involvement in the festival. The group's reputation was forever tarnished by the events at Altamont, and they would go on to become synonymous with violence and intimidation. In the years that followed, the Hells Angels would be involved in numerous high-profile incidents, including a violent confrontation with police at a 1970 rally in London. Despite the darkness of that day, however, the music and spirit of the countercultural movement continued to endure. Many of the artists who performed at Altamont went on to have successful careers, using their music as a way to process and reflect on the tragedy that had occurred. The Grateful Dead, for example, would go on to become one of the most iconic and influential bands of all time, with their music serving as a testament to the power and creativity of the countercultural movement. As we look back on the Altamont Speedway Free Festival, it's clear that this event marked a watershed moment in American cultural history. The tragedy that unfolded at Altamont served as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked chaos and the importance of maintaining order and safety at large public gatherings. But it also highlighted the power and creativity of the countercultural movement, which would continue to shape and inspire American music and culture for generations to come. As the writer Joan Didion so eloquently put it, the 60s ended abruptly on Altamont's day, like a rip in the social fabric. The events that transpired at Altamont marked a turning point in American history, one that would have far-reaching consequences for the music industry, the countercultural movement, and society as a whole. And so, dear listeners, we've reached the end of our exploration of the Altamont Speedway Free Festival. It's been a journey through the highs and lows of one of the most pivotal events in American cultural history, and one that continues to resonate with us today. As we reflect on the lessons of Altamont, let us remember the power of music and creativity to bring people together, but also the importance of safety and responsibility in the face of chaos and uncertainty. Join me next time on History with Herodotus as we explore more fascinating stories from the past. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.